Mic Drop Radio.
What? Guys, we're back. This is 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Jer, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's been a great week.
Should I say Jer or should I say the Gru?
I mean, we were riffing on that. And this is maybe be a bit of a rebrand. What did you say, Mike and the Gru?
I think it was Schwartz and the Gru.
Schwartz and the Gru.
It sounds like a radio thing. Yeah, it's like
it does.
Welcome back. This is the Drive Home Show with Schwartz and Gru.
The comedian's worst nightmare of the early morning radio show.
Oh God. You were saying though before I rudely interrupted you.
Yeah.
What did you get up to?
Been a great week for me. I started a new job, folks.
What?
Yeah, I'm back in the tech world, which is interesting. Like I made a run at that back for a bit last year. It was really interesting to me. This is going to lead into our conversation because I came out of managing a micro gym. I was the director of operations for a gym here in Fargo, North Dakota that the owner decided she wanted to do something different and unfortunately closed it.
All right.
And after that, I found myself back in my old role, my old shoes, being a project manager in the tech world.
Got it.
And one of the things was really interesting about that was when I stepped back into that world and I stepped back into that role, I was having a hard time with it. I was like, I thought this was going to be easy. Thought this was going to be something I could do, figure out what my next steps are. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I equated it to early on was it's like finding an old outfit in your closet and realizing that you've outgrown it. It's either too big, too small. It just doesn't fit right.
You look kind of like fat guy in a little jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And what's been cool about this is because it's in alignment with all things health.
Yeah.
Health and tech.
What?
And I'm working with people and getting to already starting to talk amongst my team about all of this stuff that we talk about.
Yep.
I was like, ooh, this feels like a suit that does fit.
Ooh.
So
I see what you did there. Some might even say that's time for a change of seasons.
Exactly.
What?
It was very interesting, the seasons that led me to that uncomfortable feeling, and then the season that led me out of that, the season that I'm coming out of now, of figuring out what is it that I want and what is it that I want to do. And it's interesting for me of what that's looked like over the years. Mm-hmm. And what we're talking about, folks, is everything we know seasons of the year. Fall, fall, winter, spring, and summer.
Some of us do. Apparently. Jeremy doesn't. Some of us don't. But
started in the middle.
In fairness, I had this conversation with a mutual friend, Leanne, and she's like, because I said fall, she's like, the fuck is that? And I was like, fall,
Yeah.
Autumn. She's like, what? Spring. Just say what month you're coming, because we were talking about what time of travel. Sure. I'm like, I'll be down there in the spring, but it's your guys' is fall, and they're like, she just did the whole Scooby Doo. So they only really have 2 seasons. So I mean, it's typically for anywhere else in the world unless Australia, but they do everything differently down there, anyways. So
well, the joke around here is that we have two seasons: winter and road construction.
Oh, yeah, same here. Is that just a common joke everywhere? The weather that changes? Yeah.
There's got to be a certain was it latitude, longitude? I can't remember which is which. That
long.
Yep.
Lat. That's how I remember.
Yeah. Certain longitude where that probably is the case.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably something you could map out.
I bet.
Query and map out. Anyways.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. What we're talking about is, oftentimes people get stuck in certain areas of their life where they feel like they're stuck because they maybe aren't in like alignment with what season their life is in. I saw this a lot when I was doing a lot of personal training at that gym that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Is that you have people who maybe they're brand new parents, newlyweds, stressful jobs, and they're also trying to lose 50 pounds, work on their fitness, do all of the things.
Yes.
And we would have the conversation of, well, the season of life you're in right now is really based around your family, your career, whatever it is that is for you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it could be a season of really working for your fitness, really working for your career, really working for your family. When we try to do it all at the same time, are we really all that successful?
Right.
And then when we plan out from an athlete perspective, we have in season and off season.
Of course.
If we think about ball sports or field sports, team sports, even weightlifting, oftentimes most of the year is in season. Our off seasons are pretty short. And even within that, we still want to be able to match those things up to even what's happening in our lifestyle.
Right.
What have you noticed as far as the artist side of things of seasonality?
Dude, it's so interesting because it seems so. After I have this conversation with another artist who hasn't thought of this before, they're like, "Oh yeah, duh. Why didn't we ever think of that?" It's almost that you're so close that it's really difficult concept to actually understand. But for us, when you put it like this, it's like, "Oh yeah, you've got like a couple seasons," and they're like, "What?" Well, especially in Canada, you've got recording season and festival season. That's it. You got 2 seasons. That's essentially it. You're either in the studio working on projects to put out, or you are promoting the projects that you just put out. One or the other. You have a tour season. That festival season is typically our summer, right? And then Canada being winter is all hell. Most people just shut down and go into the studio, into hibernation, and write a bunch of songs. Not like the gangsters, the ones that really, there's a band in Canada, my Canadian country folk will know very well, Blue Rodeo. They were notorious for touring winter because nobody else would. So there's a lot of a really good thing because like if you can do it because there's much less competition out there. You got a lot of gigs. And people still go out in the winter. It's not like we just like all friggin' live in our igloos. Like my igloo is pretty nice, you can see, right? Yeah. And those are the basic touring seasons, and it's pretty consistent. And anywhere I've lived, it's okay. We gotta go into the recording, we gotta go and then tour it, and then we go back into the recording, and then we go and tour it, and then we do that. And sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a full year. So that's what I see from an artist standpoint. And when I put it, I go, oh, that's a season. You just add the word. They're like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Because it's a very different. It's similar to like the athletic world, which I want to get your thoughts on. It's similar. Like there's certain things that you emphasize when you're in tour mode. Like we even have those terms. Oh, I'm in tour mode. Oh, we got session mode. I'm in session mode. Like that's what they say. They're just like, basically, don't talk to me. I'm blocking everybody out to get this project done. I'm going to be in the studio like me yesterday, 12 hours, just isolated from the world. Me and my producer, we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Come back out. Oh, sun. Still good. Awesome. Woo. Is that a full day? Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have these, what I would term as like a microcycle, and then a meso, and then a macro. And it's easy for me because I think in both of those, I speak in both of those languages. So like to a coach, they're like, yeah, of course, periodization. Blow it up. Your workout today goes into the weekly, into the monthly, and into the full grand scheme of things. Musicians, they work on one song that goes into an album, that goes into a tour, that goes into the grand scheme of things, your album catalog, and your legacy as an artist. So when we think of it that way, and people are like, oh yeah, duh.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, like, because seasons are so deep in part of, like, what we know of as our flow through the year that we don't make that immediate connection. Because I remember the first time somebody had made a mention of, oh, this is the season of the life that you're in.
Yeah.
I went, I've never thought of it that way.
I know, right?
Yeah, like it's one of those concepts that when it's introduced, it's like a brain explosion. You're like, I don't know if it's something that's really all that profound, but it's like, oh, I've never equated those two things together before. Like,
Right.
look back to school. Like you had
Mm.
in school season, then you had summer break.
Yeah. Like it makes sense when you think about it afterwards. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we go through that. And does it all? I think the challenge for a lot of people that I get to work with when I present that, they've been doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing when they're in like an abundance of time. I believe you either have an abundance of money or abundance of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they have an abundance of time, they're typically in one of those, usually like a writing process. Like that's where they're going to be writing, and that's where they're going to go. And then they don't have time when they're touring it, but they have a lot more money because that's where that's where it comes back, right?
Yeah.
But they're using their mentality in one of the other areas, like in one of those seasons. Like their go is still on when they don't have the same kind of time, and then they will burn out, right?
Well, and to take that same concept to the athletes,
Yeah.
Whether we are starting our competitive season for games on a field sport, or particular competitions for the strength athletes, like at the beginning of the like we have a bunch of time, or even like if we're in like a general physical preparedness cycle or off-season prep, as some people like to call it.
Yep.
We have all of that time, and as we get closer to that date, we run out of that resource.
Exactly.
And the other resource, being strength or athleticism or performance that we're getting out of the mix versus money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Where have you seen this? Where have you seen this concept go wrong in the past?
I was just gonna say, like, what I was gonna ask you the same question with athletes. Like, what do they do wrong? And I'll hit that first.
Yeah.
Artists assume that they always have to be doing something. And another way of saying the abundance of time and the abundance of money is do versus be. Right? I think the people that I work with are highly emphasizing what is the direct, maybe it's not a direct correlation, but it's definitely a relationship here between scarcity mindset. They feel that they have to be doing everything because otherwise that gig is not going to be there tomorrow, and that the next gig, who knows? Like there's still this lack mentality, so they do so much all the time. And they burn out, and that's an artist mentality. They have this starving artist thing, many of us, and we sit back and we go, I have to say yes to everything that ever comes across my plate because we don't know when the next one will happen, which is the way that our generations ago in the dirty 30s, that's what they were taught. So it's like, to me, getting not too deep on it, but kind of deep, it's a generational thing, especially in North America. The Great Depression did a lot to the generations that followed, where it's like a lack mindset. And in order to do things, anything worth doing, how many of our grandparents said this? Anything worth doing has got to be hard. My parents still say that. And it's like, nah, I think they're just doing so much. And you can only pour from the full cup. And if you're empty and you're still trying to pour, like, go get a new cup.
Anytime I hear that phrase again, I go, well, what if it was easy?
Sorry, Dar was interrupting me with his snores. I know you guys can't hear it, but I'm like, homie, cut it out. Repeat that for me. Like the dog is just, yeah, you can go to bed if you're going to snore, bud. Come on. Holy smokes. He's so peaceful with this. He's like, dad's at home. I was gone all day yesterday, right? So my apologies, man. I was distracted. Say that again.
The phrase that you mentioned, anything worth doing has to be hard. I was like, my question then is, well, what if it was easy?
Yeah. And what do you get when that I've done that, and I get some interesting.
You twisted up face.
Yeah, right. Like
I don't want to believe that.
Cannot compute. My CPU is a neural net processor. it's a learning computer.
It's apparently also Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dude. Oh.
Yeah.
As a moment intermission, I made these are from the McGregor Fast app, a modification. Conor McGregor. You may notice the hair's gone. I think it was gone last week too. I lost the mullet, chopped it.
Yeah.
Finally grew
You
up.
mentioned a couple weeks ago that was.
I was doing it, right?
block.
And
Yeah.
so I'm going back into my McGregor phase, getting back into my MMA style stuff, and I was like, you know what? I really need a high quality, nutritious snack for moments like these, where I'm like, I don't really want to sit down and make a full meal right now. Peanut butter, honey, any sort of muesli or chia seed or any sort of like really good nutritious, is that a word? It is now.
Dense.
Nutrient dense. That's the one I'm looking for. And then you put in some like high quality cacao, like some nice nibs, like the real stuff, all organic. And this is just like the perfect little snack, protein powder. That's the binder.
Nice.
Oh.
Very cool.
Just had to take I don't get paid. I don't pay myself for that. That's not a promo. That's just, before I stuff something in my mouth, I like to, check out what I'm eating.
Yeah, share with the audience.
Mhm.
The same thing that you talked about with the artists of this scarcity side of things.
Mhm.
Athletes are in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like there's so much insert any classification of human or any job or anything like industry.
Mm-hmm.
Athletes see this from a slightly unique standpoint because so many of us are looking at this, especially if you are you have aspirations and dreams to become some sort of elite level athlete. You're looking to make a team, you're looking to make a qualification for something, you're looking to get a scholarship. So there never feels like you feel like there's so little time to prepare.
Yeah.
So then
there's always something.
Try to do everything you possibly can.
Yep.
And oftentimes we're ignoring all the basic easy stuff that actually is going to draw us forward.
Yeah.
Like sleeping well, eating nutritious food, drinking enough.
Nutritious.
Yeah, I know.
That's me.
You planted it in my head now.
All right. That's okay. We couldn't get the seasons right either. Guys, it's Friday. What's up?
Been up for 13 hours.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Birds. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, we were messaging like wicked early today anyway. It's fine. You ready? I'm so ready. There's
the trap in this is that if we think of it from program design, we'll get a little nerdy into the exercise side of it for a while.
Yeah.
If my goal is to get really strong, why would I start training for a marathon? Like, why would I add in a marathon style training when I'm trying to get very, very strong? They're competing stimuli, they're competing goals, they're competing results, and so then nothing really happens when we don't have a particular focus.
Yeah, specificity is the most important training variable.
The SAID principle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're looking for those specific demands to get those specific outcomes.
Yeah.
And can we put a couple of those together? Yeah, let's get into some advanced programming knowledge and whatnot. And also, that's the same thing for our lives. It's the same thing as an artist. It's the same thing if you are an accountant. Like when you're focused on one specific task and you devote the time and the energy and the effort to it, likely to get it done well and get it done quickly. Even looking at this from a productivity standpoint, me as somebody that has worked as a project manager and again in that world, one of the biggest time sucks or the biggest killers of productivity is task switching, context switching.
So
you're bouncing
tough.
from thing to back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. All of those micro moments between the things that you're focusing on it's dead air.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be happening. That's time that's spent away from whatever you're focusing on. So if you're an athlete and you're like, well, I'm my primary sport is this, and I'm also like think a high schooler because I have some of these right now. I really love weightlifting. Weightlifting's the thing I care the most about, but I'm also going to do football. I'm also going to be in 17 clubs at school. I'm also in the hardest AP classes I can find. Yeah. And I have to go out and do all these things at home and with my family.
Yeah.
Like, can we take a step back? Like, what's the rush?
Yeah, and like if you, granted, money. This is leading into next week. I already know where we're going on this one. If I had my way, I hear this a lot. It's like I've got my priorities. I've just got different priorities.
Mm-hmm.
When did that word become plural? Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Priorities. Wait a minute. How can there be multiple priorities? Like, it doesn't, it negates itself. It's impossible. It's a
Well,
priority.
there's a hierarchy of them,
Mm-hmm.
but there's only one thing at the top.
Yeah, you
It's a
can't just like,
list.
oh, these are all my things, because I know I've been there. You've been there. I've tried
Oh,
to
yeah.
do that, and this is like the marathon and the Olympic lifting.
Yeah.
When I was speed skating, that's an endurance sport. What was I doing? I love to compete with weights and all that. So neither at the end of the day, neither really got to where they needed to be. It was fun, and granted, I want to be very clear. This is for those of us in any area of our life that we're trying to get there. If you're a generalist and you want to do and play in all of the sandboxes, that go for it. That's a very different conversation.
Yes.
The for the generalist, that is your specific. Come on, Jeremy, help me out.
Specificity.
Specificity. It's Friday. I had to spit it. Fuck. Whew. Long days, man. Long days this
Yeah.
week. Lots happened. I'm like, whoa, I have to rehearse tonight? Shit. That'll be good.
Yeah.
But that's the point, right? Like, if you can have those 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
You got to prioritize the one. Keep the one thing the number one. When that becomes good, then next.
Yes.
We run into trouble, I would agree, like, or I would assume, anyways, in the athletic world, what you've seen. What happens when an athlete does try to do those 4 things, or when they do come into you and they say, "I've got all these things to do, all these 4 things, all these 5 things, whatever."
Progress starts lagging. They start
Yeah.
getting really frustrated. When they push too long, too hard, that's usually when we start to see people getting hurt. Or they burn out so hard that they burn themselves right out of the thing that they love doing. I mean, I did that.
Yeah.
I haven't, this is a sneak peek, folks. Your boy's getting back into the training ring. Like, we're getting into comp season for me.
Look out! Look out! There's got to be a
And-
horn or something for me. Oh, the rock. I've got the rock.
Oh,
What the rock is cooking.
exactly.
That's you. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And because I burned myself out of the sport that I love the most.
Yeah.
Completely, I can't motivate myself to do these things. I'm so cooked on this. I need a break. I need something different.
Yeah.
And guess what? The different things didn't really get me to where I wanted to go anyways, and you
No.
come back to the thing that you love anyways. And also, that being said, for those of us who are the generalists, the people who are hobbyists, or like, we're doing our sport or our art because we love it and because it's fun for us, and it's not necessarily our direct career path. These are really important to remember. Like, training like you're going to the Olympics when you're just going for your first competition at a local meet down the road, or a couple
Yeah.
hundred miles away. Like, why not have fun with it? Why not actually do it for the joy of what you're doing? Same thing as an artist. Can you come back to why you were doing it in the first place?
Right.
And also, for those of you who are chasing performance, can you come back to that why as well? One of my favorite questions when we get to competing priorities. I've done this with clients. I've done this in past work experiences where we want to have 3 things as priority number 1. It's like, well, no. I actually would use like applications where you can only like drag things in a list. It's like,
Yeah.
it won't let you.
No.
It just
One.
won't. You get 1 is number 1. 2
Got
is
one
number
shot.
2. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you see them wrestle with that idea and struggle with that in various ways.
Mm.
And also get to come back to this, well, this may not be my top priority right now, and I can still devote some time and energy to it. My focus is what changes, and my expectation for it changes. And in my experience, that's the thing that sets people up for success so much better than, well, you got to David Goggins this shit. You got to carry the boats and wake up at, you got to wake up 4 more hours early to get it all in.
Yeah. Is that realistic for most
Perhaps
of
for
us?
a small amount of time, but that's that.
Yeah,
best.
sustainable and realistic is a very
Yeah.
good distinguishing factor. Yeah, for a very short burst, maybe, if necessary.
And what's the risk, though? We risk
Yeah.
burnout. We risk getting hurt. We risk alienating our friends and our families. Like, there's so many other components of that we have to consider. Of like, could I put 2 training sessions a day on my calendar?
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that going to get me closer to my goals faster?
Diminishing return, generally speaking, especially from what I know on periodization. I know that like 2 days, great. 3, maybe a little bit better. After that, diminishing returns.
Yeah.
You'd have to be at a serious level for exercise to be able to get anything out of, to be able to get, let's rephrase that more accurately, to get more out of 5 days than 2 days, because the gains actually happen from the rest, right? So like you'd have to be a supreme specimen of athlete in order to gain still at training at a high level for 5 days a week. That's bonkers to think of. And I was in that position. I was like the skinny fat kid, right? It was like I was in so much cardio queen work that like we didn't have enough time in between training sessions to bring our cortisol levels back down. So we're still like sleep. What's that? Like no way, right?
You'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, right. And that was just the way it was. Why? Because that's the way it was for 30 years before. So why change, right? Like you bring up something I wanted to touch on, because like this is great for the athlete, this is great for the artist. What about the people that are watching this and the folks that are like maybe they don't even identify? Like what is pain, like the injury? What does the injury look like for the desk worker? Like if they're running at high octane, what is that injury? What is the risk for them?
Yeah. I mean, just like the person who's in a recreational or even professional, is that burnout side of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that's your profession, you can get burnt out on your family life as well.
Yeah.
Like that's where it puts stress and strain on your relationship. And so that injury then can be a fracturing in your relationship.
Yeah.
It could be a point where, you know, there's, you ever heard this phrase, Mike? I'm just getting old.
Oh my goodness.
My back's been hurting. I'm just getting old. And then
Oh, it's old age. That's what happens. Oh man, I see that all the time in the comment section, and not to blast a few of my friends, but they are very, very guilty of this. And if you're watching that, you know who I'm talking about. They say this, oh, it's what happens when you get older. You know, it sucks getting older, but you can still do it. And they try to make this like motivational thing out of it, but it's really like, that's your choice. Like, if you believe that.
Well, and how much of that is a mismanagement of the actual load that you're under?
Yeah.
So think about it as a bucket. Your ability to hold that stress is a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you have in your life has a stressor associated with it. So how much sleep you're getting, like how little sleep you're getting actually, more stress.
Yeah.
If you're eating highly inflammatory diet with low fiber and low protein, a lot of stress in the bucket.
Yeah.
We have relationship stress. We've got work stress. We've got, if you're somebody physical, you got training stress.
Yeah.
If you're an artist who also works, you have your art stress. Like all of these things compound.
Yeah.
Your bucket is only so big, however big your bucket is.
Right.
When that starts to overflow, that's where things get to breaking points. That's where relationships get to breaking points. That's where physicality, where we physically break. It's where we emotionally break, mentally break. Like there are so many areas that this could affect.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's one, many times it's multiples.
Yeah. What, like if anybody's like when you get somebody coming into you and you're noticing, maybe they don't, but you notice the symptoms, what's your first like triage? Like, okay, get them to a place, because when they're coming in, oftentimes in my experience anyways, people don't understand that that's even happening. They're just like, they think that's the way it is and that's the way it'll always be. This is just my life. It's chaotic and it's always this. I'm like, well, and then phrasing that, what if it was easy?
Yeah.
They do the Scooby-Doo, and then they go, ooh, and then what?
What's
the triage? How do we bring them off of that fucking ledge?
Yeah. Well, I asked the questions around, okay, tell me about your home life. Tell me about your sleep. Tell me about some of the things that are around that are in that stress bucket.
Mm-hmm.
If I've worked with the person for a while, I generally have an idea of where some of those are. And also, I like to take the approach of giving them some options, but not giving them the full list of options.
Right.
Like, what are the levers that I can pull as a coach that are really going to drive the best results for you?
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are some that are going to be big levers and are also likely the hardest ones to pull.
Mm-hmm.
Like things like sleep, like telling people to get more sleep is really tough.
Yeah,
Why?
like,
Because it means they have to give up doing things.
Yeah, and what do you say when you get that? I'm sure that sounds like you've been there before. Somebody's told you, well, how do I do that?
That's real nice. That's real nice. I just have too many things going on.
Oh, yeah.
My life's just too stressful.
Yeah.
And like there's using the words and the language to coach them through that and write the things down. Like, how much do you actually have to do? What does the schedule actually look like? Is what you said actually true?
Yeah, is so many? Is that a new number? I missed that. How many is that?
Yeah. And so we can take it from that perspective, or we can also take it from a different perspective of, well, that's the big lever, and it's going to take a lot of muscle to move.
Yeah.
Do we have a medium-sized lever that's going to be really easy to pull?
Right.
And so, looking
Like
at
baby
from
steps, right?
Exactly. Like, hey, could we? Nutrition's a big sticking point for you in this. All right. Would you rather focus on getting 40 grams of protein 4 times a day, or would you rather focus on getting a good fiber source every single meal of your day?
Mm.
Which would you choose? Which would you rather? Which sounds like something you can knock out of the park. I like putting it in that perspective of what's something so easy that you're actually questioning why I'm asking you to do it.
Here's the thing that I'm noticing too, and this may be news for other people, and this is why I think it's really important, is I've noticed you just asking me a lot of these questions instead of telling me. Mm-hmm. Isn't it your job as a coach to tell me what to do?
I don't know, is it?
Right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Does anybody like being told what to do?
No, man, that's the thing. And this is why I'm wrestling with this in my own, because people are expecting, and I've just, questions pull, answers push. When I'm giving advice, oftentimes it comes and lands on very deaf ears, because many of the people I work with, you got to think about the artists that I work with. They do the thing that society has told them will never, ever, ever work. They are naturally rebels. How do you get a rebel to change a light bulb? You fucking find somebody else. Like, there's no way in hell. You know what I mean?
Tell them don't change it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's the only way. Hope in hell. And then they're going to be like, but I want to now. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what's the point of asking those kind of questions? Why are you giving me choice?
Well, and this is something that I wrestled with for a long time, is because I love to share information. I love to tell stories, and like I find learning fascinating. And what I learned over time, and exactly what you mentioned, is sharing all this information, giving people a fire hose of brand new information, wasn't helping them make better choices. It wasn't helping them actually make changes in their life.
What was it doing?
Oftentimes it was pushing them in the opposite direction.
Interesting.
They're like, that's really cool. Or like, I'm going to remember all of this, and I can buy rote.
Tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the meantime, I'm actually going to go and do the opposite thing.
Yeah. Or nothing.
Or nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
I'm just going to keep doing exactly what I've been doing.
Ghost the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I had a client who was fantastic, great dude, and my job was essentially adult babysitter. We would work through the things. I would give him all the information, and yep, like I felt like he was humoring me after a while. Like,
Yeah.
Is he gonna shut up yet so I can do my exercise?
Right.
And
you were just what I found, because I was also that as a coach for a long time. I love to educate people, and I felt it was my duty, my civil service, to make sure everybody knew as much as I did at any given point, even when they weren't paying me. I was just so happy to give all this free, unsolicited advice. And it broke down a lot. You want to talk about the pain points? That broke down a lot of relationships for sure. Yeah. That broke down like, oh, fuck this guy again. So yeah, you saw those like, okay, yeah, oh yeah, cool, yeah, all right, perfect. I never hear from that person ever again.
Oh yeah, totally.
Ever. Like not even like friends, man. Like we're talking like, I'm just trying to help. Like nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah. I was as a coach, I was better when I first got into fitness and I first got in like my first big tastes of things. I was the worst.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know.
Nobody likes the keto bro. That's like if you just eat like a bucket of mayonnaise every day, you're yeah, whatever.
No, just
whatever.
eat all bacon. Eat bacon every day. Bacon, and that's it. Do you have any source of like any fiber in your? Nope. Don't eat it. Okay, cool. And that boils down to a totally different topic that we can pin for. But like the idea of the absolutes and things like dogma and just like having, I mean, we've talked about it before. It's just that is prevalent in especially the weightlifting community, the exercise community. There's just certain ways that you just do it. And I mean, it didn't work, and why are you still doing it?
Yeah.
Some people's kids.
And also to tie this to what we were just talking about is the dogmatic approach or the strict methodology approach is very much telling people what they should be doing and not being curious about like what are the results I'm working towards? What am I working to achieve? What are the tools I have at my disposal? What is the timeline? Like being able to look at those things in a curious manner versus hey, I found this program. Yeah. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna follow it to the letter. No modifications. You know, I'm just gonna take a page out of the Bulgarian training manual and max out every day because I heard that does it the best.
For this guy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Who's on a lot of drugs and had
no context on his background.
Years. Yeah.
We have no idea what he's training for, but sounds like a good fit for me. So let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a near 40-year-old.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
And like we can come back from that curiosity standpoint. For working with somebody who's looking to get a specific result or figure out their health, figure out their even just the vague goal of I want to be a little healthier. Being able to drill into that of why is that important?
Yeah.
What does that actually look like for you? Yeah. Because now we can bake that into whatever season of life you're in to tie it all in. Is it because, well, what does work look like? What does your home life look like? When we had people get started at the gym, they felt like they were going through a major medical screening because we checked out their physicality, joint by joint assessment. We started asking questions about their nutrition, their lifestyle, their recovery, their relationships. I'm like, did I do something wrong? Am I being put in prison or something? Like, it's like we want to know. Like, we want to know you and where you are on your path and what season of life you're in, because that's going to influence how we train or how we help you move to wherever you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Transition into that next season of life.
Yeah. Speaking of transitions, I wanted to add a new bit. This is a totally improv move, but a song comes to mind. I want to shout out some really good friends. One of the reasons I say, hey, this is a new bit because with my background of music, there's usually a song, there's an app for that. Well, there's a song for that. A couple of my friends, Nikki and Mickey, which is fun to say, they put this awesome band together here in Calgary, Midnite Gossip, and they released a song that they did. This is a live recording, which is very impressive how good this came off, because most live recordings are bullshit. It's really difficult. It's not that they're playing bad. It's really difficult to record well live. It's very, very difficult. You've got to be a very, very highly skilled ninja of audio tech. So they put out this EP a few months ago, and the moment I heard this song, I was like, that is a new top 5. Like, it's so good. And I would love to get your thoughts about the song and the message delivered as well. You open to that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then anybody watching this, let's find out if this works. First, I've got a couple backup plans if it doesn't, and on the first go. But tell me if you get some noise. You hear something?
Some noise.
Cool.
I sure do.
This is like those React videos now. We're just both bobbing. We're gonna be famous. We're gonna go viral.
Isn't this
I took her up, it felt so comfortable. I didn't know I was in trouble.
It's fucking good, hey?
I rolled back and forth into that groove, sinking into what I thought I was in you. Same place, same time, same friends of mine. No shame in having a routine. I thought everything was going fine until I saw what I couldn't unsee. It's a groove that feels like a move, a way to feel like you knew and improved. I feel improved, but nothing's changed, no, nothing's new. I'm just stuck in a groove. I'm just stuck in a groove.
It's cool, yeah? What are your thoughts so far?
I love the groove. I love the vibe.
Trying to change, but I keep rolling back. Chaotic plans, stay out of trouble.
This is that I'm getting ready to do something, go somewhere exciting. Like, this is that
I'm sinking into
push me out the door with a smile on my face, excited to see the world.
Interesting. I'm gonna pause it because I just realized there's a button that I forgot to click. So we've been listening to this, but everybody's
Oh,
just
but everybody
watching
else
us.
is just watching
Everyone
us.
else is just watching us do this. I didn't even know that. So that's just very fun. I'm gonna start it again because it's so good. We're not even very far in, but it's that fucking good. So let's just try this now. And my apologies, guys. That was so funny. Okay, let's pretend that didn't.
What
even
if that
happen.
was a whole new genre of
my God.
reactions? Is
Right?
that-
Like you just
nobody else can hear it.
Let's try this again. Oh my God. Oh, this is funny. That's what happens when you. Okay, listen. There we go. Okay, now everybody can see. We got 2 reaction videos. This is great. Okay, I'll bring it back up, and it's a little quiet now. Here we go. Let's crank it.
I took her up, it felt so comfortable. I didn't know I was in trouble. I rolled back and forth into that groove, sinking into what I thought I was in you. Same place, same time, same friends of mine. No shame in having a routine.
message, right? Like, how many people out there feel like they're, I'm right there, I'm just, you know? Like, the overall message is so brilliant. And again, for folks that were just watching the bouncing hands, this is Midnite Gossip. This is off their live EP. You can find this on Bandcamp. I'll make sure there's a link in here. Go support the homies, Nikki and Mickey, which is a lot of fun. It's a duo. It's just a nice little electronic acoustic duo. Very, very cool, very fun. Great live show. And like the message, I really connect with that, you know.
This really connects it to our conversation as well. Like, how many times have you or people that you've worked with, people that you know, have been in this, like, I'm starting this new thing. I'm getting ready to go. I'm getting ready into this, and then, oh no, I'm just in the same old shit that I was in before.
Yeah, and you think you're making progress.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most frustrating part of it, is that and then you get to a point, usually it's like a rock bottom meltdown, because you've been going so hard in circles. You're like in the canoe, or in the kayak or whatever, you just got one oar, and you're just like, you think you're just putting in so much effort, and you're just giving her, right? And that's what I mean about the whole thing, was like, when you first asked me, like, what do artists do? We're always on. Yeah. There's always do. And then we finally hit this point where we're like, okay, nothing is working. And that reality check, right? Yeah.
I'm going solo.
Yeah, right? And I think Nikki really sums it up with those lyrics, though. You know, I'm just stuck in a groove. You know, nothing's changed, nothing is new, right? Like, it's just, I think that's the line anyways. Nikki, you can correct me, please.
I went in the background and I pulled it up and I was watching the lyrics as it went through.
Oh, were you? Great, man.
I'm terrible at picking up lyrics out of, like,
oh, dude, you should have said something. You should have screen shared that shit. I'm sure some people.
Hey,
dude, pull up the screen share. You still got it up? Pull it up. Let's analyze this for a second, then we can wind things down off of this, because we got about 12 minutes left here. We'll keep it to an hour.
Technology.
Yeah, let's see if we can get you. Give me some thoughts, and then we can. I had another couple of different thoughts here as well, because we also mentioned focus and how much of a priority it is. I'm going to give you my feedback while you figure that up right now. So far, what I've got from this conversation is there's a big, heavy reliance on specificity as like the number one key ingredient on when we're setting goals, when we're like lining things up. Yeah, stuck in a groove right there. So good. So good. So let's see that. Yeah.
Dug a rut that felt so comfortable, I didn't know I was in trouble. Rolled back and forth and dug that groove, sinking into what I thought I was immune.
Wow.
Same place, same time, same friends of mine, no shame in having a routine. I thought I was going fine until I saw what I couldn't unsee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in looking at that too, like, we do get very comfortable with where we are, and that's where oftentimes even feeling stuck can feel very comfortable.
Yeah,
because it's that we've talked about this before, of that sense of safety and security. It's what I know. I know it really well.
Why change? The devil we know is, like the unseen and the things on the other side. That for many of us, I know I was there, is very, very, it's an ominous feeling, because you don't know what it could be. It could be worse. Like, what? This isn't killing me, so I would rather stay here than the chance of that thing killing me. And that's just a survival mechanism, right?
Mm-hmm. The part that I was talking about earlier, that the not only just the fact that it is a catchy as hell chorus.
Right.
And like 11 out of 10.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
Yeah. And also, like, this chorus is such a relatable thing. Like, I know everybody. I'm projecting that onto everybody. I'm sorry. And also, I bet you also felt this too.
Yes.
Is that, like, it's a groove that feels like a move. Like, I feel like I'm doing something. I feel like I'm on the move. I feel like I'm making the steps forward. I feel like I'm becoming new and improved.
Mm-hmm.
I feel improved. No. It's all still the same.
Yeah.
And I was just having a conversation with another great coach friend of mine, which we're gonna bring him on at some point.
For sure. Yeah.
In that, oftentimes this is something that happens, even to those of us who are in the know of coaching and whatnot, and especially in the fitness world. Fitness very much becomes that gateway into into deeper self-development, deeper exploration of the self. And it allows us to see the times that we're in these grooves, stuck, feeling like we're doing all the things to improve, and yet nothing. You know, the tale of Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill over and every single day.
Yeah.
I always comment of the times in my life that I feel like I'm rolling 100 boulders up 100 hills. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to roll one boulder up a hill, much less trying to push on 100 at the same time. And that's where we start to get stuck. And when we have an opportunity of something like fitness or a coach to help expose us and expose where we are, like expose the
blind spots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the shit that we don't, because we're so close. This comes back to the point I was trying to make it earlier. It's perfect full circle.
Yes.
We're so close that we don't even realize that we're in a season that we're doing something completely upstream. It's like, why are we swimming this way?
I'm trying to go ice fishing, and I'm wondering why I can't. Why can't I cut a hole in this ice?
Yeah. I just keep on.
Why am I drowning?
I'm drowning. Yeah. Anything else you want to say on those lyrics in there?
No. I mean, like that. Like I said, that chorus hit me.
It's good.
Not only like the groove is fantastic, but like the imagery of it. Because I've been here.
Yeah, it portrays it's a very universal and completely unique capture at the same time, which is what I love about Nikki's songwriting. Like, guys, if you're watching this and you don't know who Midnite Gossip is, go and check out Midnite Gossip. They're doing stuff really interesting. Yeah, there. You got a new fan here. Like Jared, this was a totally surprise. Yo, by the way, I've got a song that's like coming to mind after what we started talking about. I was like, oh shit, this could be cool for a bit. Because to my point, when we talk about focus, and you may know this because you're in the community too, and you're leading some, and in the future here, you're going to be leading some of your work with the school community. I would love anyway. I made you now, so now I've said it, so now it'll happen.
Speaking of
but over in Music Fit, for the members over there, I put together a 5-day focus because I break the word down so it's easy to remember in a framework. Find one clear, unique solution. One, not 5. Find one. And when you can do that, those lyrics that really capture the whole, oh God, I'm really doing things, because we're doing so many things that not the one thing that'll actually move the needle, you know? And I think that's really important because when people can understand that it's more of a marathon, to come back to an earlier reference, it's more of a marathon than you think. We've got a lot of time to sit and be with that. And when we get out of balance because we're doing so much, this also plays into a nice little thing I created. Right? The old archetypes. When we're too much masculine and we've got that, oh, come on back now, bud. There we are. Fuzz. See that? I'm a magician. That's what'll happen, guys, when you use the archetype cards. Like, you will actually fuzz yourself right out.
You can put you into focus and the rest of reality into
the background.
Yeah.
I like that. These are the things that are so important for people to understand how to harmonize those oftentimes very polarizing parts of us. You know, the action taking, on stage personalities, the ones that want to do everything all at once. And then how do we balance that with all the restorative process that's necessary to growth in the gym, right? How do we actually get better at lifting? It's not on the days that we're training. I can tell you that. It's actually not that. It's exactly opposite that. That's the catabolic time. That's the breakdown. Yeah. You don't get strong lifting weights.
You leave the gym weaker than when you walked in.
Yeah. And then it's the rest, the recovery, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you get stronger.
And like that's a great way to like put a cap on this as a metaphor. It's like, guys, we've got to spend a little more time slowing things down, looking at what season we're in, and really taking a good look and being okay with being in possibly a transitional season, or a, like if we're talking sports, an in season where you get to just play the game. You're not focusing on doing everything else outside of that because you just don't have the capacity mentally or physically. The load is too high right now. That's the equivalent of touring season when you're in season. You got to go and you got to hit the road.
When you got a
Yeah.
game the next day.
Yeah, like, but
Yeah.
dude, I know we're kind of joking about it. Dude, the amount of artists that, perfect example, they've got a big show and they've booked like open mics and they've booked rehearsals and practices in that same night or in that same week. How do you sing 4 nights in a row at your top level if you've got a bit, like, let's think about that. Does that, when I say it out loud, everybody's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I would really rest and recover. Exactly. And when we're in the moment, we're always about like, if I don't get practicing, I'm not gonna. No, we've got to space that stuff out and look at it at more of a sport athletic, a sports science approach would be very helpful for musicians. When we can look at, even the NFL does it great. They got game day, and then they've got a whole week in between, right?
Yeah.
And if I had my way, we would have game day, and we wouldn't be training. We wouldn't be booking gigs like on a tour. We would have one stop a week. If we did it right, because then we could rest, or at most we could do like the NHL season where you got like 3 days off, 2 days off, right? Where you're not playing back to back to back, and then you have 1 day off. Oh yay! But it's a travel day, so it's not even really off.
You're still.
It's not.
You're still being stressed. You're still on the road. You're still doing the things.
Like actually taking a day off. No screens. Get out in nature. Do your restorative meditation practices, mindful practices, eat well, drink clean water, go to bed. My God.
Play a little bit.
Play.
Have some friggin' fun.
Right?
Like, would it kill you? I know some people it might have. Yeah. You know.
Some people it might. I think a lot of us are really addicted to that. In a sense, it's a victimhood. It's a martyr. Oh, I can't. I just don't have enough time. I'm an artist.
Well,
I've got 5 days in my tour. Like, listen to what you're complaining about. I know people that are praying for those problems.
right.
Right.
You ready for so on this topic of focus and to round a lot of this up?
Yeah.
You ready for a mic drop moment?
I'm glad you asked. I am.
On this topic of focus, my favorite quote. It's even on a sticky note right here on my monitor, folks. Right here. You probably can't read it. Yeah.
Put it a little. Bring it into the light. Come closer. Oh, I
And
can.
it's backwards.
It's backwards. Good.
It's backwards, and it's my handwriting.
Effective.
Yes, exactly.
Mic
It
drop.
says, the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
One more time for the people in the back.
The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
Dude.
Yeah.
That. How. Yeah. You're right. Mic drop. Like, I don't even have anything to say to that. Take that. Soak that in.
Yeah.
Dude, what do we want to talk about? What do you got going on, and what are we going to talk about for next week to give the sneak a peek? I have a couple ideas. I want to hear what you got from this.
In the upcoming week for me, not a lot going on. Just getting into the groove to bring it in of what does this look like, and what does my day-to-day look like with a new gig.
Yeah.
Still coaching, still doing what I can to serve the communities that I love and the people that I love, and that's what I got going on. And I'm really interested in what you've got queued up in your mind.
Dude, for my week, it flows very nicely actually to what I think we can really have a nice launch into for next week. The archetypes quiz was the pilot test to the archetypes deck. I've got these guys now for sale. My week this week was great. We had lots of recording time, so I've got a whole new. It's been blown up and magnified. You want to talk about when we talk macro cycle? I gave you a sneak peek
Yeah.
of some of the track that that I've been putting together. So things have really happened. Shout out to another homie here in town, Dason Tiara. The guy is an absolute wizard. If you guys saw my stories on Instagram, go follow this homie, Story Beat Media. Mutual friend with Midnite Gossip, that he's done a lot of their work too. The production actually that you just heard was Dason's mix. That's one of the reasons it's so good. So this guy is just a ninja that hears things that that other people. You want to talk about the Oracle as far as the card? He is the Oracle, man. He is the Rick Rubin of Calgary. He is very, 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 very good. And so we're working on the solo project that's going to turn into a band project for sure. So I'm on the hunt for, I've got a few key individuals that I would like to invite into the band project, which is very cool. And when we talk about the band, it's a team. So it's like, I want to roll with that and look at like what goes into making a really great team. And what we talked about here today, this is a subtopic that can, like, they play with each other. And I think this is really cool with the athletic thing, is the difference between goals and purpose. Because I run into that question quite a bit. And when we bring the focus of team into that, that can have a very different meaning when we're discussing, like, how do I get my goals versus how do I get my purpose? And many of us I know are like, I don't even know what that is. So that could be a cool 2-prong attack for next week. What do you think?
I like it. I was just having a conversation along those lines with somebody earlier today. You know, what are our not even necessarily goals? What are our objectives?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What do we want? Like right here, right now. What do we do? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
Awesome,
that.
man.
Cool, dude. Final thoughts? What was your big takeaway today, dude?
Yeah, the big takeaway for me today was, the reminder for myself that even though I talk about this stuff, even though I help people with it, it's easy to get stuck in that rut, stuck in that groove, and not even realize what season of life I'm in.
Yeah.
Or wanting so badly to be in summer, and it's the dead dark winter. And trying to trick myself into those things. Like, how about I let it be winter for a little bit?
Yeah.
And let myself come into those seasons naturally. And so for me, that big takeaway is the reminder that check yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
Remind yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. On the heels of that, same, a little different. Being reminded that this week was one of those go weeks. And in order to have more of those down the line, we're going to have a nice little winter over the next couple of days here. You know, I've got 2 more days that are action packed, including today. So like today and tomorrow, most of the day is rest. And then I've got a show that, I got to be showing up right for. So a good bedtime tonight, making sure I'm doing the ABCs, the building blocks, man. Air, got to get breathing mechanics down, going to bed on time, and then putting myself in uncomfortable situations, getting my exercise in, getting my cold therapy in, and I'm as best as I can be for the people that need me, and including myself and, the great Darwin. Perfect. Let's play it out with the rest of that Midnite Gossip. Guys, you've been great. I'm going to play out the show here today with where we left it. Got about a minute left on this track. I think that's a good way to go out. What do you think? Absolutely. Yeah, here we go. That's the other takeaway. Go find Midnite Gossip. Guys, go get this EP. They're on Bandcamp. I'll make sure something's linked in LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook for those of you joining us over there. Great band. Get in touch. They're fantastic. I'll crank it up and we're just going to head bob for the rest. So good. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.